All right, look, let's get to this Ja Morant thing where we know he's suspended for 25 games. And Rob G, come and kind of give us, it was something interesting that Tim McMahon, very good reporter for ESPN, said on a podcast. Bring us up to speed, Rob G, on what happened.
That's right. Tim McMahon was on the latest edition of Brian Windhorst and the Hoops Collective podcast. It's a great pod if you like NBA talk, but buried at the very end of the podcast, you had to put it at the front. They're out talking about the Ja Morant suspension, and Tim McMahon says that the people he's heard indirectly that Ja and the people who are in or formerly in his camp feel that the NBA is, quote, out to get him, as is the NBA media. Talking about Ja Morant.
Now, I got to say this, VeeJay. The NBA wants nothing more than the success of Ja Morant. I was actually talking to a person that works in the league for a team, and he's been in the league for a while now, and he was lamenting the fact that there really isn't that clear-cut American superstar who's going to become the face of the league, the next face of the league. Obviously, you have LeBron and you have Steph, but all of the guys that are really in position to be the face of the league, Nikola Jokic, Giannis, Luka, and who knows what Victor Wembanyama is going to be. They're all, of course, international. And obviously, we love the international players, but it was just saying, man, it's never been a time where an American hasn't been one of the big key faces of the game. And is that going to be good for the league? And we both were saying it was supposed to be Ja. It really ideally would have been Ja and Zion.
Yeah.
But Ja is the guy of all the American young players, Jason Tatum, Donovan Mitchell, whoever else you want to throw out there, because there's plenty of good American players. Ja Morant is the one, take away the off the court stuff. He has the game. His team was a contender. He is arguably the most electrifying and exciting player in the league. And he had a kind of a rags to riches story, right? Freaking Murray State. Mm-hmm. So the league, look, Ja Morant's success, if he does come back from this and, resurrect his career and continue to play great, if not even better basketball, then he will become one of the faces of the league. And the league will love that, because the more successful he is, the more successful the NBA is going to be. So this notion that the NBA has it in for Ja Morant, how? What? That seems utterly ridiculous to me to even contemplate.
Well, it's not ridiculous for me to contemplate, because when this suspension thing came out, I was hot. I was heated, and I let it be known on our show Saturday and, through my social media. But when I saw this, I come at it from two ways. I get why you're saying exactly what you're saying. Everything you just said perfectly. I get exactly why you're saying that, and I don't have a lot of pushback against it. What I will say, though, and you guys always, your phrase here on The Odd Couple, we keep it real. So I'm going to keep it real. Right. The reason why this comes out like this is because it's the gun. And in America, in our society, in today's world, when black athlete has gun, there's a certain picture painted. There's thug, criminal. You're supposed to fear that. And when anybody else does it, he's defending his home. They're a hunter. They have all rights to Second Amendment. He's not the only NBA player that's posed with guns before. Chris Kaman posed with guns right after the Aurora movie theater shootings with 2 AR-15s. And there wasn't this type of reaction with it. Now, I wasn't waving it around or holding it like Ja was holding it, but there wasn't this type of reaction to it, because for him, it's, well, that's his amendment. That's his right. He has the right to own a gun. He has a right to pose and hold up his gun. That's where I think
it
this
also was viewed, and I hear you, because I made some of the same points, early on in this.
Yeah,
but I also think it was he was a known hunter. I'm just saying.
I get, and that's fine. I get all, and that's a
Ja
word.
was kind of playing with it, but I feel you. That's a valid point.
And I'll go just off our community. Period. Just real talk. Black celebrities, our people, our community. We flash things. We flash our money. We flash our clothes. We flash our jewelry. Flash our lady.
That's a stereotype.
I know it's a stereotype, but in that community that he comes from, that he's showing or he represents or doesn't represent or what have you, that is what they do. So I can see where his camp is coming from, because what they want to say is, well, you didn't do it to this guy, or he's being treated unfairly. If you do that, now you're gaslighting. Now it's a whole big thing.
But
so you
then,
have to put
you know
a broad...
what the answer, you know what the statement would have been, should have been then. If that's how they felt,
yeah,
it should have been like, why are you viewing this black man with a gun differently than you view Chris Kaman, or you would view a white athlete? I brought it up. If it was Bryce Harper with the Phillies, would it have been as much of an issue? And so, but don't single out Ja. If you want to say, oh, you guys are, you're looking at black athletes, young black athletes differently, and I get where you're saying, but don't come at like it's just Ja. And they did meet with him and say, obviously, look, you can't be flashing guns on your social media. And he went out and did it anyway. Yeah. And I think there is a lot of hypocrisy within this country, period. Yeah. You mentioned, we talked about politicians, Republican politicians with their kids holding assault weapons. In hip hop, obviously, it's very prominent where young black men are glorifying gunplay and killing and things like that. But yeah, he does it. That's actually what he's trying to copy. And so I feel you on all that, but the NBA is a private league and they can make the rules that they want to make. And so they were within their rights to, suspend him and things like that. But my concern, VeeJay, for more of this was for Ja Morant's safety. And I've said that from the get-go. I am most concerned about his own safety because he's playing like he's a gangster, and we all know his upbringing. That doesn't mean he couldn't be tough. That doesn't mean he couldn't have certain things he's into, but he wasn't brought up like that. And so you're putting yourself out there where some people that really live that life might come at you in a certain way because you're portraying that this is what you're about. And so I'm more concerned about his own safety, whether he would hurt somebody with a gun or get hurt himself with a gun. And so hopefully I think this suspension hopefully serves as a wake-up call for him because he needs it. A lot of what you said was true, but that does not negate the fact that he needs a wake-up call because he could put himself in a bad position.
I will push back a little bit on the upbringing, and I think that's actually a stereotype because when kids are from a certain from the hood or from the ghetto, they're expected to be something or expected to act a certain way. But if you come from a two-parent home, both his dads are home, is from the suburbs. I'll just speak from my own experience. I was raised in the suburbs. My mom got remarried and had a stepdad. I had two parents in my home. I lived in the suburbs. I went to a suburban type high school. Go Google gangs of Northern Virginia, where I grew up from. Just because you're from the suburbs or just because you had a certain type of upbringing doesn't mean that things do not influence young men and things that they want to be.
That's one of the reasons people criticize hip hop.
They want to be,
because it is influencing young kids who aren't in that environment. And we know enough about his environment. You're right. It could be dudes from the suburbs rolling like that. Yeah. But we know enough about his upbringing that he wasn't rolling like that. Now, he might have, we've seen even pictures on Instagram when he was a kid posing like he's this and that. So he's clearly held these fantasies about that life. But that doesn't mean he came from that life.
I get that. But also, too, one thing I do want to speak on, since we're using the term that life, once you are ingrained in that life, I've seen guys that I was cool with in middle school and at the beginning of high school who weren't in that life. And then once they became and joined and got down and joined again and got in that life and started running with those, that is who they became. Now, they didn't come from it. But
do you think Ja was down like that in junior high or high school? Okay, that's
the example I'm using. I don't think he was. I think, though, that being in Memphis, which is a heavy area for that, the city I frequent a lot of times in my life, and I just push back on, oh, man, you being something you not. You don't know what that man is. He may be that right now, and that's why
we know what he is. He's a basketball player.
Well, there's
and
a lot
he played AAU, and he went to Murray State. I mean, come on, man. Yeah, real talk. I'm not saying he can't be tough. Yeah, and he can't be, like that life. But that's not what he was doing.
That's not what he was doing. But I tread lightly, and I get it. But I do tread lightly on any man can make a decision to change who he is and what he want to do. I'm with you. Something could happen to him, but if Ja feels like I'm down like this and I've been indoctrinated into this life by these people around me that y'all don't know that, like, this is what I am. Then it's like I can't go against that. And if something happens to you,
why can't you go against it if it's putting him in harm's way?
Because the
last thing we want to see is another young black man.
Absolutely, but he also is making a decision to be part of that life, Chris, and that's why I can't tell another grown man.
Well, you're either going to be a part of that life or you're going to be a part of the NBA.
True.
I mean, that's what the league is saying.
Yeah,
so
Carmelo Anthony said. Carmelo said the David Stern sat him down and said, "You're either going to be part of the NBA or you're going to be part of the street." So
there you go.
Right. You're right.
And so you're right. If Ja says, "Yo, I'll give up the $200 million. I'll give up," right? Is he gonna do all that?
No.
No. So that's all I'm saying.